a move that could reshape the lives of millions of men and women and lead to a massive political backlash. Tonight, President Obama will announce he's taking executive action to protect millions of undocumented residents from deportation, allowing them to work legally in the U.S. And as WGBH News reporter Adam Riley tells us, the upcoming announcement was cause for celebration for many at the State House today.
The Mass Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition holds a big Thanksgiving lunch every year. But today, with the president poised to issue an executive order that would protect millions of undocumented immigrants, the mood was especially festive.
This is a miracle. This is something that we've been working and waiting for years.
Gladys Ortiz works for an anti-domestic violence organization and says that for her clients, Obama's move will have an immediate impact.
They're going to be able to drive, they're going to be able to work, they're going to be able to go to the doctor, they're going to be able to report a crime on the street.
MIRA Director Ava Malona was just as upbeat.
He has been working with Congress for a long time, hoping to pass immigration reform, and unfortunately it's not happening at this time, so he's acting within his legal authority to do something, and it's better doing something than, doing nothing.
But not everyone at the State House today was cheering. State Rep Shauna O'Connell wants stricter enforcement of immigration laws, locally and nationally, and says what the president is doing is dangerous.
I think the president is overstepping his bounds once again. I think, shredding the Constitution because you want to get something done. This seems to me is a desperate attempt by the Democrats who lost in the recent election.
That echoes criticism from congressional Republicans, who've warned that unilateral action could doom any hope of a bipartisan compromise. According to Ava Malona, that's what the country really needs.
It is our hope that, this is the first step, but Congress needs to finish the job and have a comprehensive bill that serves America well.
For now, though, President Obama seems willing to go it alone. Adam Riley, WGBH News.
The president's announcement comes on the heels of a Democratic drubbing at the polls this month, and there's likely to be some major political fallout. I'm joined now by Thomas Whalen, who teaches social and political science at Boston University. Welcome back, Greater Boston.
My pleasure.
Well, let's face it, Obama isn't the first president to do this. In fact, William Henry Harrison was the only president who didn't do it, and that's because he died after a month in office.
And George Washington issued the first executive order in his administration.
The Emancipation Proclamation, and then JFK did the Peace Corps, FDR
suspension
did
of writ of habeas corpus under Lincoln.
The internment camps, talk about controversial. So, I mean, the issue of immigration has just been such an emotional one, but is this going to get overturned, do you think?
Well, the only person that's really going to overturn it is going to be the next president. He is well within his legal authority to do this. The Republicans, of course, in the legislature, they can pass laws to basically water this down or try to eliminate this, but they're not going to get the 2/3 necessary to override any presidential veto, which is bound to come if they do that.
I mean, really, essentially what this does is protect about 5 million people from deportation. What's the issue? What's the concern? That this is a drain on resources, that we're giving instant legal status to people who have come here without proper documentation?
Well, it's a political shell game is what it is, because Republicans are playing to their conservative base, a base primarily of white voters who claim that these immigrants, illegal immigrants, are going to take their jobs. Whereas the Democratic base is about, well, we want to expand our base, particularly in 2016, the more that can come out to vote, particularly Latino population, which would appreciate this executive order, the more the merrier. This will put a Democrat in the White House. So they're both playing to their bases here, and that's why we have a deadlock.
Well, the Latino vote wasn't so hot for the Democrats this time around, so this could backfire anyway.
Well, I think a lot of Democrats would argue that it wasn't so hot this time around because President Obama didn't have the courage to take this executive order of action before the election.
If we've been talking for, I can't even remember how many years now, about some kind of immigration reform. Why is it, I mean, it's a simplistic question, but why haven't both sides of the aisle, why hasn't Congress been able to figure out what they want to do about this?
Because, again, it comes down to donors and various constituency groups. The Republican Party, basically, they are self-centered, and particularly among white working class voters, they don't like the competition. And in the Democratic side, it's much more diverse, a range of different nationality groups. They are in favor of it. And there's just no way that these two groups can come together unless there's some sort of major compromise or give on either side. We just haven't seen it. I think President Obama has offered the olive branch to the Republicans, but they haven't taken it over the last 6 years. Boehner in the House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House, refuses even to put it to a vote.
Yeah.
So when you don't even put it to a vote, how can you blame the president?
So people are saying, oh, this is the end of the Obama presidency. You wrote about that recently. And when you look back through history, some of the calamitous events that have fallen before other presidents, you think this is going to go away like virtually everything else.
Right, exactly. And there's other major issues on the burner here, particularly when it comes to foreign policy. And also we have this student debt explosion that's about to happen, the bubble bursting there. So instead of saying President Obama's presidency is over, think of it as more he's gaining a second wind here.
So you actually really believe that? You think?
Oh, yes.
So you think by the first of the year, this will be over essentially?
I think so, because think about it. Do you hear a lot of outcry from major corporations or businessmen about this? No. Why? Because they need these kinds of workers to fill their ranks, and they save money.
So some groups say there's as many as 150,000 people undocumented living in Massachusetts. Does that sound right?
It's hard to say. Certainly, you see that in
3% of the population.
Yeah, because obviously they don't want to be out, and about, where they can be detected, but in large number. But you see that in the building trades and various other things. But that might be a little bit of a reach, I think.
Sounds like a bit much for me. All right, Tom Whalen, always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks
for coming.